he had no money. Still, somehow he managed to enroll in the Seoul National University Dental School and became a dentist. My father on the streets of Seoul, though in a different way, you face a world of uncertainty. Uncertainty is freedom. Take that freedom and run with it. And please don't forget to eat some noodles along the way. Thank you very much.
안녕하세요, 원다입니다. 종종 외신 기자들과 서양 미디어들은 모든 일에 최선을 다하며 열심히 살아가는 한국인들을 향해 부정적인 질문을 던지곤 합니다. 한국인들은 왜 그렇게 자신을 몰아세우는가? 왜 그렇게 경쟁적인가? 왜 그렇게 완벽주의를 추구하는가? 등과 같은 질문으로 한국인들의 열심과 한국의 성공 스토리를 부정적인 이미지로 그려내곤 하죠. 심지어 지난 10일 스페인 매체 엘파이스는 BTS 리더 RM에게 K라는 이름표가 지겹지 않냐는 질문까지 했었는데요. 이에 RM은 K 이름표는 프리미엄 라벨로 우리 선조들이 싸워 쟁취한 품질 보증과 같은 것이라고 자랑스럽게 대답해 우리 한국인들에게 시원한 사이다를 선사했습니다. 또한 모든 일에 열심인 한국인들을 향해 부정적으로 묘사하고 있는 기자를 향해 수세기에 걸쳐 식민지를 만들어온 나라에 살고 있는 사람들은 이해하지 못할 것이라고 일침을 날리며 식민지와 전쟁으로 황폐화되고 두동강이가 된 한국이 오늘날 이렇게 발전할 수 있었던 것은 자신을 향상시키기 위해 항상 열심히 살고 있기 때문이라고 대답해 전 세계적인 환호를 불러일으켰습니다. 이렇게 서양인들이 만들어낸 부정적인 이미지와 프레임에 대해 일침을 날리며 한국인들처럼 의식적으로 대담한 목표를 세우고 의지력을 키워 시간을 잘 사용하라고 조언한 한국인이 또 있는데요. 그는 바로 전 세계은행 총재 김용 박사입니다. 1959년 12월 8일 서울에서 태어난 그는 의사이자 인류학자인데요. 5살 때 일가족이 미국으로 이민을 가 한국에서는 비교적 인지도가 덜하지만 세계에서 가장 영향력 있는 50인에 선정되기도 한 유명 인물이죠. 그는 원래 철학자인 어머니의 영향으로 정치학과 철학에 관심이 많았지만 치과의사 출신인 아버지의 말씀에 따라 의사가 되기로 결심, 브라운 대학교를 우수한 성적으로 졸업하고 하버드 대학교 메디컬 스쿨에 진학, 의학 박사와 인류학 박사학위를 받았습니다. 졸업 후 하버드 메디컬 스쿨의 각종 보직을 역임하며 출세 가도를 달리다가 마침내 메디컬 스쿨 교수 자리에까지 올랐는데요. 특히 하버드 메디컬 스쿨 국제보건학과장 등을 역임하며 중남미의 열악한 결핵의료 퇴치 운동을 벌였고 이러한 활동 경력에 힘입어 세계보건기구 에이즈 국장직을 맡기도 했으며 2009년부터 2012년 6월까지 미국 다트머스 대학교의 총장으로 재직하기도 했습니다. 코난 오브라이언의 2011년 다트머스 대학 졸업식 축사에서 연단 뒷자리에서 웬 인상 좋은 아저씨가 싱글싱글 웃고 있는데 그 사람이 바로 이 김용 총장이죠.
I'd like to thank President Kim for inviting me here today. After my phone call with President Kim, I decided to find out a little bit about the man. He goes by President Kim and Dr. Kim. To his friends, he's Jim Kim, J to the K, Special K, J.K. Rowling, the Just Kidding Kimster, and most puzzling, Stinky Pete. He serves as the chair of the Department of Global Health and Social Medicine at Harvard Medical School, spearheaded a task force for the World Health Organization on global health initiatives, won a MacArthur Genius Grant, and was one of Time Magazine's 100 most influential people in 2006. Good God, man, what the hell are you compensating for? Seriously. We get it, you're smart.
2012년에는 힐러리 클린턴 전 국무부 장관 등 쟁쟁한 후보를 제치고 세계은행 총재에 지명되었는데요. 2017년에는 연임에도 성공했었습니다. 그런 그가 보스턴 노스이스턴 대학교 졸업 축사에서 한국인들이 어떻게 아무것도 없는 불확실성에서 성공 스토리를 만들어냈는지를 그의 부모님 이야기와 그의 인생 경험을 통해 들려주는데요. 서양인들이 만들어낸 한인 가정의 부정적 이미지로 이야기를 시작한 김용 총재의 축사에 깔깔 웃던 교수진들과 졸업생들은 곧이은 그의 냉철한 조언과 충고에 숙연해지고 맙니다. 함께 보시죠.
Thank you. Good morning. Since I was a basketball player in high school, I've always wanted to perform at the Garden, and here I am. It's truly a great privilege for me to be here today with all of you. It's an honor to stand before you just at the moment when you're leaving this great university and about to step into your life, the script of which is yet to be written. Throughout my years in the academy, I've loved commencements. But I'm sure many of you are out there today concerned about what the future will bring. And I just want to say to you that not only is your future uncertain, but the overwhelming likelihood is that it's far more uncertain than you know. And you know what? That's a good thing. A recent study by a group of psychologists in the journal Science found that people are extremely poor at predicting their futures. The study showed that, for example, a typical 20-year-old woman's predictions for life changes in the next decade of her life were not nearly as radical as the typical 30-year-old woman's recollection of how much she had changed in her 20s. In other words, 20-year-olds had little idea of just how much they would change over the next 10 years, and this discrepancy persisted among respondents all the way into their 60s. The study's findings are essentially the story of my life. In fact, before I was born, given the obstacles my parents faced, I would never have predicted that, in fact, I would be born. My father spent his childhood in North Korea. At the age of 17, he escaped across the border into South Korea, leaving his parents, his brothers and sisters, his entire extended family, everything he had ever known. He had no money. Still, somehow, he managed to enroll in the Seoul National University Dental School and became a dentist. He told me stories about how he had so little money, he often could only afford to buy lunch from the illegal noodle vendors in the street. Once, when he was eating his contraband ramen, next to the vendor, police started chasing the vendor and all the customers. But my father told me that as he was running, he kept eating his noodles because he knew he wouldn't be able to afford any more. My mother was born in China near Shanghai, among a small community of Korean expatriates. After returning to Korea on a day she will never forget, my grandmother went outside to hang the laundry, and she never saw her again. She was probably either taken or killed by North Korean soldiers. With the war closing in around her, at the age of 15, my mother became a refugee and literally walked with her younger brother on her back 200 miles to escape the fighting. Luckily, she was able to resume her schooling in a tent in the southern city of Masan. She was an excellent student, and with great good luck, she received a scholarship from a secret women's society in the United States and enrolled as a freshman at Scarrett College in Nashville, Tennessee. Through almost unthinkably divergent and unlikely paths, my parents ended up meeting in New York City at a Christmas party that gathered together the few hundred Korean students who were living in the United States at the time. They fell in love, married. My older brother was born in New York City and then returned to Korea. I was born in Seoul, and when I was 5, my family moved back to the United States, and we eventually settled in Muscatine, Iowa. My father opened his dental practice, and my mother set to work on her PhD in philosophy at the University of Iowa. We lived, as you can tell, the classic all-American Korean family grows up in a small town in Iowa story. We fully embraced our lives in the heartland of this great country. After high school, I ended up at Brown University, and I remember vividly one particular day when I returned from college. My father picked me up at the airport, and when we were driving home, he asked me in the most casual way, "So Jim, what are you thinking of studying?" I told him I was really excited by philosophy and political science. And I thought I could make a difference in the world, and I was thinking of going into politics. My father put the blinker on, slowly pulled over to the side of the road, turned off the car, looked back at me and said, "Hey, when you finish your medical residency, you can do whatever you want." Now, I see some Asian parents in the audience nodding their heads saying, "What's funny about that?" But you see, my father knew all about uncertainty. He knew that it's impossible to be sure about where you might end up in life, and he worried that his own success might have deprived his children of the opportunity to understand deeply the meaning of running away from the noodle police while, of course, finishing your noodles. He wanted me to have a skill, and he wanted me to butt my head up against the joy, but also the hard reality of finishing medical school, finishing residency, and caring for patients in life or death situations. I'm so grateful to my father. So far, I've told you that life is uncertain, but you already knew that. What I really want you to know is that you have abundant tools to face that uncertainty and to lead an extraordinary life, even beyond your wildest dreams. Roy Baumeister is a psychologist who's devoted his career to studying the qualities in human beings that lead to what he calls positive outcomes. In this fascinating field, researchers have found that 2 traits are most consistently associated with success: intelligence and willpower. In Baumeister's book entitled Willpower, we learn that efforts to permanently increase intelligence have failed, but people can, in fact, improve their willpower. Moreover, they've shown that willpower is like a muscle that can be built with practice, but also, if you don't actively exercise your willpower, your capacity to do so will atrophy, just like your stomach muscles if you stop doing sit-ups. Looked at from another angle, a group of researchers has shown that more than talent, practice is what determines mastery over any given skill or ability. Willpower, discipline, and focus, the essential qualities for success that everyone needs, are in your hands to develop and build. But in addition to thinking about uncertainty and willpower, there's one more thing I want you to will yourself to remember today. I want you to think about how you can use time effectively and for good in this complex world. Back in Iowa, my mother used to read to me the writings of Martin Luther King. He writes about the need to understand the urgency of the present. Actually, time is neutral. It can be used destructively or constructively. You know, for myself, with all the willpower I can muster, I try to bring the sense of urgency in Dr. King's words to my work today. I do this with an understanding that I still have no idea of what the future may bring. After all, I had no idea that I would not only get my medical degree, but also a PhD in anthropology. I had no idea that I would help found an organization, Partners in Health, with my colleague Paul Farmer and others, and work in 10 countries. And with only minimal academic experience, academic administrative experience, I was given the enormous honor of becoming president of Dartmouth College. And finally, completely out of the blue, President Obama asked me to stand as a candidate to lead the World Bank Group. Always with some trepidation, I embraced these completely unexpected opportunities. We'll now use time to drive forward what we hope will be a signal achievement in human history. In closing, my challenge to you is this: set bold goals, deliberately and consciously build your willpower, and use your time well. Through your hard work in these past 4 years, you've acquired something exceptional. The foundations for critical and self-critical thinking, joined to the practical skills to solve tough problems in the real world. These are extraordinary qualifications. They give you power and responsibility. Like my father on the streets of Seoul, though in a different way, you face a world of uncertainty. Don't fear that uncertainty. Embrace it. Use it. Uncertainty means that nothing is predetermined. Uncertainty means that the future is yours to shape with the force of your will, the force of your intellect, and the force of your compassion. Uncertainty is freedom. Take that freedom and run with it. And please don't forget to eat some noodles along the way. Thank you very much.